method fucking works. Now, I know a lot of people are like, well, lean protein's basically just chicken or turkey. Yeah, but there's a lot of game meats that I think people are afraid to eat for whatever reason. So I'm at my highest skeletal muscle mass I have ever been, and I'm about 2% off my lowest body fat. That's pretty strong indication that the diet I'm doing is fucking working. Welcome. Got another edition of the Balanced CEO podcast coming at you today. And going to talk about something real specific, and that is consistency, but on a different level. So I know I've talked about consistency and motivation and all these things and how it's important and, you know, blah, blah, blah. What I want to talk about today is I think a lot of us have gotten caught up in the world of, you know, all the extreme diets, the meat-based, carnivore, Whole 30s and, you know, all these different things, keto, where I think it has some purpose and I think it has times, but I don't think long-term it's sustainable for years and decades. Now, again, if you're one of those people that has found a way to make it sustainable for years and decades, kudos to you. I'm not talking to you, the other 90+% of the world that can't. And yeah, I'm glad it worked for you, but you are not everyone else. And I think you need to remember that. So for you all huffy puffy about this, just relax and understand this one particular podcast is not going to be for you. And that's okay. Still listen though, you might get something out of it. So what is sustainability? So in the last few years, I have lost weight. I've gained weight. I've lost weight. I've battled cancer. I've battled really severe neurological disorder called Miller-Fisher syndrome. It's a more rare form of Guillain-Barré syndrome. Some of you might have heard of that one. So my internal systems were, for lack of a better term, just absolutely fucked. And it has made sustaining weight loss difficult. And I found some ways to remedy that. I'm not going to talk about that here on this podcast because I don't think it's my place to really discuss medical things. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to tell you guys what to use or not use or what works and what doesn't work. I'm just going to say I think I found the right situation for me in that regard to kind of start cleaning up the system and get my internal health back in order, which has made a huge difference on my weight loss and just the way I feel, energy, etc. So I recommend getting with a doctor, a holistic professional, someone along those lines, and talk to them about some of the options out there to get your system in order if that's something you're also struggling with. Now that I got that out of the way, let's talk about sustainability. So something I've talked to people about all the time is the difference between plate method, macros, and other types of diets like animal-based where, you know, don't track at all. I've done them all. Done plate method with success. I've done macros with success. I've done animal-based with like a lot of success, losing 80 pounds in 10 months. You know, again, animal-based didn't prove to be sustainable long-term for me. Just speaking for myself. Plant or plate-based had its moments, but again, it was a little too free for me. Macros was a little too crazy, you know, like the tracking every little thing. It's just for the way my brain works was a bit too much. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people who would agree. If you're a type A thinker, I'm sure macros are just primo because you don't have anything else to think about. And you like nitty gritty details and you like getting to exact specifications. For me, I just want to get close and keep it moving. And with macros, it doesn't work well over a long enough time. Then you factor in what I'm doing now, which is really what they call a macro bowl. But in reality, what it is it's more of a plate method with macros. So, but Chris, you just said you don't like macros, you hate tracking. Correct. What I don't have a problem with is once or twice a week tracking what I'm eating and then basically repeating it every day. So it's not making up new meals all the time. It's not, cooking 10 different proteins. What I found is, shout out Fraser Bailey for anybody that's wondering who I'm working with. I'm working with a holistic health coach. He's not a nutrition coach. He's not a weight loss practitioner. He's a holistic health coach that runs a program for executives, CEOs, business owners that want to basically become supernatural, I guess. I forget the exact superhuman, who want to become superhuman, that want to stand out and be a part of that small percentage of people that really not only look like they have their shit together, but in all facets of their life actually have their shit together. Kind of sounds like the triangle of strength. And what he's taught me is just like plate method, which I think this is where I really enjoy it and something we teach. And I will get even more vocal about expressing to clients at CFT. This plate method fucking works. You just need some other things that I think I'm really looking forward to helping us push, which is the micronutrients that our bodies need. So, for example, I'm currently eating beets. I don't like the taste of beets much, so I chop them up into thin slices, so I don't have to take big chunks of beet. That did not work out so well. For heart health, I do carrots. For skin and other things, I do micro broccoli. If you don't know what micro broccoli is, you can find it. Looks kind of like it's got fuzz or like spider webs in it. On the bottom, it's like a microgreen. It's got a ton of micronutrients in it. What else do I put in there? I try to hit all the colors of the rainbow in terms of vegetables. So like, again, just like plate method, like half of my bowl is basically vegetables. So high volume, low calorie. One of my biggest things is spaghetti squash because it's really low carb, but man, is it voluminous. Like I can put in 200 grams of that and it takes up half the plate and, or bowl in my case, and gets me nice and full. And then I eat a really lean protein. Now I know a lot of people are like, well, lean protein's basically just chicken or turkey. Yeah. But there's a lot of game meats that I think people like are afraid to eat for whatever reason. I'm lucky I have a local grocery store that sells ground venison and elk, on top of ground turkey and ground chicken. And so I'm lucky enough, I can go to the store and get those things and I can mix it up a little bit, week to week. But once I've kind of figured out, and I'll do like something for gut health. So, something pickled. So, pickles or, pickled onions or, what are the couple of the other ones that I use on a pretty regular basis? Kimchi and sauerkraut. And I'll incorporate that in. I'm like, you're probably like, oh, gross. If you put a nice sauce, like a G. Hughes sugar-free barbecue sauce, or like I'm really preferential to Mrs. Renfro's green salsa, you basically mask all that other stuff. Like you can build a palate and a palate to that flavor pretty quick. I'm now to the point where when I'm prepping my meal, I'm almost like salivating because I'm excited to eat it later in the day. And essentially, I'm trying to hit around 200 grams of protein. My carbs are what they are, but I mean, because I'm not really putting in any really high glycemic carbs, I might eat some sweet potatoes here and there. I might eat like 100 grams of rice if it's a meal, if the meal is real close to a workout, pre or post. But other than that, like I'm really not eating any high glycemic carbs. So the carbs are really low, like in the 100, 130, 125 range. And then fats kind of do what they do. I try to eat some healthy fats in my foods and, really, really lean stuff, like 99% ground turkey. I'll add some, cooking spray, not cooking spray. That sounds terrible. It's not some fucking gross oil. I'll use some like tallow, or something like that, something healthy to give some fats. And, ultimately that's how I get my fats. My fats will sit probably somewhere in the 75 to 90 range, sometimes a little lower, generally try not to go over 100. So I'll measure this stuff like once in the week, maybe twice if I'm flip-flopping proteins. But I mean, for the most part, when you're getting these super lean proteins, the macros are pretty identical, right? Your 93.7 turkey is going to be the same as your 93.7 ground beef. Your venison and elk are going to be very similar. Unless you're throwing, like, I'll throw in chicken thighs every now and then to kind of switch it up. Then I've got to really kind of measure again because the fat content is so much higher. But other than that, I mean, once you kind of nail it, it's like, then all you're doing is you're just putting the bowl on a scale and you're measuring out exactly what you did the day before, give or take. And what it'll end up being is like, I'll eat a couple macro bowls a day. I'll eat like protein shake and a pack of blueberries after a workout. And it comes out to somewhere around 1,900 to 2,100 calories a day. I've lost 20 pounds since January 9th. So that would be just over a month. I just did a body fat test today. So if you want some proof of the results and how well it can work, I lost almost 2% body fat in the last 3 weeks and gained almost a pound of muscle. So I'm at my highest skeletal muscle mass I have ever been. And I'm about 2% off my lowest body fat. That's pretty strong indication that the diet I'm doing is fucking working. Now, what about sustainability? This whole thing was supposed to be based on sustainability. Like I said, I started this January 9th. It is now February 12th, which means I have been doing this well over 30 days and I don't have any crazy hunger spikes. I'm not like chasing food. As I've mentioned in the past, swaps are the big thing. So like swapping out, I got a protein donut mix that I can use to swap out for when I want something like a treat, like donuts or a cake or stuff like that. But I think just having healthy swaps, if I'm really craving a burrito, I'll go out and get some like extreme wellness wraps and I'll turn my bowl into a burrito and go that route. So I think, again, just sustainability is more important than fast results. And at 42 years old, obviously, I can't stay obese for much longer without really staring down the gun at some severe chronic disease and illness factors that could be coming my way. So obviously I want to get sustainable results and keep those results going. But I think if I do it correctly, if we all just really focus on sustainability over everything else, and make sure that what we're doing and what we're trying to sustain is actually generating positive results. It's moving the needle. No more yo-yo. And that's probably the most important thing. Cut this yo-yo bullshit out. Don't do something that's going to stress you out either. Don't start a macro plan that like you're going to obsess over every like kernel of rice that falls into your bowl and like, freak out if you're 4 grams of carbs over your number, or, if you ate an extra protein bar, like your whole week is fucked. Like that's not going to allow you to be present at home. It's not going to allow you to have the right mindset around your family. And the same goes for these starvation diets or like fasting for 3 days and then eating and then fasting for another 3 days. See people who've lost 100 pounds and like in 3 months doing that. Awesome. But like, I can only imagine how much of an asshole they are to be around. Like that ain't going to work if you're trying to keep in this triangle of strength. I'm sure you guys are tired of me droning on at this point, and you probably were like, where the fuck are the guests? Guess what? The guests are coming. We're lining up at least a dozen, if not 2 dozen guests over the next 3 to 6 months. So it'll be less talk from me, far more fun interviews with people way more interesting than I am. I hope you stay tuned. I hope you keep checking in. I hope you share this and like it and subscribe, because ultimately that's what helps me continue to grow this. And as always, you got to just keep digging in.